It's CJ and Dan with you on a Friday. We finished Canada Day, July 1st. You're getting ready for July 4th.
Mm.
As I've said many times, you guys do holidays correctly. We do them low key. July 4th, it's a big deal there.
It is. It's starting to slow down as I get a little bit older. My wife and I both excited just to sit in some air conditioning because I'm off this weekend. Which is just kind of turned out. We both said the same thing. Like, yep, that works for me. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, obviously it's a big one, 250 here in the States. So it's a big deal. But I didn't realize that you were so disappointed in the way that Canada handles.
No, not
Canada
disappointed
Day.
at all.
Okay.
But like on Canada Day here, I literally threw shrimp on the barbie.
Nice.
I just barbecued crap all day. Kids swam in the pool, and that's what you do. You don't really have a neighborhood party or anything.
It's a perfect day. Of course, I mean, also means Tyler O'Neill hits a home run somewhere, where whoever he is playing for, he's got a nice little streak going of hitting home runs on Canada Day. So you got that to celebrate as well. There's your fireworks. It's just with another team in your division.
Yeah, and then you always get Blue Jays baseball on Canada Day, and they beat the Mets 9-3, so they head out to Seattle on a one-game winning streak, and then a rematch against the Mariners. You've played in these series where everyone's saying, "Oh, this is the rematch." These guys have been writing down on their calendar, waiting for it. Do they, or is it just another game?
No, they don't write it down. It is probably mostly another game. I think you're always caught up in where are we right now. And for both of these teams, there's some disappointment in where they are. The Mariners doing a little bit better than the Blue Jays, but not much better. Their season got off to a slow start. They still have really good pitching, but the offense hasn't been what they've expected it to be. So it is more about where they are right now. For the Jays, they're looking up 3.5 games out of a wild card spot, and the Mariners are holding on to one barely. And so I think it really becomes about what happened there. There's always turnover on rosters, right? I think those kind of things that you're talking about really are more for your fan bases to kind of get a little riled up about. Remember what happened a year ago, and it was a great series that they had. This will feel a little bit different. It's the middle of the season. Everyone's got their own problems they're trying to take care of. That's where the focus, I think, has a tendency to go.
Spencer Miles, before the Jays took off, had another brilliant performance. He pitched 3 innings, only gave up 1 hit. He struck out the side at one point, finished with 5 Ks in a bullpen game. And it's now getting the attention of a lot of other people in Major League Baseball about, crap, the Jays got this guy for nothing.
Yeah, and it doesn't work out that often, right? The Rule 5 draft, when you pluck somebody from another organization, meaning you have to keep them in the major leagues the entire year. That player went unprotected. You can claim that player. A lot of these guys get returned in spring training. You kind of run a guy through camp, see if he can help you. You realize why that former team didn't protect him, and then you have to offer him back to that team. It doesn't happen. Every once in a while, there's a really good success story of a guy like Johan Santana, longtime left-handed pitcher who was a Rule 5 pick, but it just doesn't happen. It happens a little. You have a better chance with arms because in the case here of Spencer Miles, it's a live arm, right? But maybe that they didn't see the performance that they wanted to. Again, that's why he ends up not being put on that roster in the offseason and left unprotected. You kind of keep your fingers crossed that nobody's going to claim him. But he's settling in nicely. It's not an easy thing to do, especially on a contender. When you have a contending team and you have a Rule 5 pick on your roster, it's hard to hide a guy at this day and age, and especially how we limit what you can have with your pitchers and your hitters. But they've been able to not only just have him on the roster, but now they're getting some production out of him as well, which is really exciting because these are the kind of these are steals essentially from other organizations where you have 6 years of control. It is not expensive, right? You're paying a guy the minimum salary essentially. But there's a reason why it doesn't happen very often because teams are pretty good at understanding who their best talent is. But this is getting serious. I mean, this is live. This is a really good, exciting arm. It's been sitting around 96 miles an hour with the fastball, getting production. The walk rate has been really good, right? I think that's the other thing when you take a guy who hadn't been in the big leagues and a team doesn't want to protect him, you worry about command. But it's all been respectable, and they may have something special there.
You know what I'm getting sick of talking about is Vlady Guerrero. I just want him to start hitting so we don't have to talk about it anymore. But his OPS, looking at it compared to everyone else on the team, he and George Springer have 2 of the lowest OPSs on the entire roster for the Blue Jays. That is not a recipe for success.
It's not, and I got some terrible, terrible news for you. You're going to be having this conversation for another 13 years after this one, because you are in year one of a 14-year deal, $500 million. I did some digging today on Vlad and trying to get a feel for what's going on. He's still getting to the fastball, and batting average doesn't tell you everything. There's other things that you want to look for when you're kind of looking into what's going on with the hitter. But the batting average numbers are good against both the four and the two seamer. The two-seam fastball is not surprising because remember, we know he's a low launch angle guy, doesn't hit the ball high in the air. That means against a two-seamer, the ball's probably on the ground. You're on an artificial surface in Toronto, and a lot of those balls are probably getting through. Where he is struggling is on some very specific spin. He is struggling mightily on cutters. He is struggling mightily on sliders. Those are going to be two of your harder breaking balls. The numbers against the sweeper aren't great, but they aren't for most hitters. Same thing with the split finger. They aren't great. What's interesting is that you're in a position right now where he's got his highest walk rate of his career, but not what he's paid to do. The exit velocity is down a couple miles an hour, right? So he's not squaring the baseball up nearly as much as we're used to seeing here with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think that's probably the biggest thing that's going on right now is what's happening with the barrel and getting the bat to the barrel and hitting the ball hard. With more consistency. That has not happened for him. I know there was the low back oblique kind of situation that he was dealing with as well, but we've been waiting for what we saw last year, which was a slow start in the power department. And then when are you going to take off? Well, now, as you mentioned, you're under 700 with your OPS. You're about 160 or so points off of your career average. And again, what they've paid him and what they did with this contract, they expect much bigger things. He's too young for this to be happening at 27, where you're not seeing nearly the thump. That's probably the thing that concerns me the most. Like I said, at least he is getting to the fastball. That matters. I think when you can't get to the fastball anymore is when you start talking about guys that are past their prime, and that is not the case right now with Vladdy. But he has got to figure out a way, see what's going on with his swing and why he is getting beat so badly on spin.
You know what's never been discussed during this Vladdy slump is he's got the best hitting coach right there in his dad. His dad finished a 318 hitter over a 16-year big league career. Is that not a phone call? Dad, what's going on here? What did you do? You were a pretty damn good hitter.
Could be. It's an interesting thing, right? Because I think if you talk to just people in general, like, did you like when your dad coached you? Most did not. My boys, that wasn't necessarily their favorite thing. I think as they got a little bit older, they got a little bit more inquisitive. But at the end of the day, you were always just dad to them. There are so many voices, and I don't know who Vlady uses, if he uses anybody else outside the organization, but there's so many voices in guys' heads these days. And a lot of it is by choice. I think it's important, too, to make sure that you don't always necessarily look at the hitting coaches with the Jays and want to put the blame there because you don't know if your hitters are which hitters are using those coaches and which ones are not. It's a real thing that happens in baseball right now. It's incredible to me that we've gotten to this point. But to kind of your question and wondering about, picking up the phone and asking dad or what he sees, maybe it all depends on how that relationship is when it comes to what's happening on the baseball field. Our good buddy, Eric Karros, right? His son is playing third base right now for the Colorado Rockies. And EK told me a while ago, he said, early in his career, probably when he started getting to college and realized he had a chance to play professionally, he was like, Dad, I'm not here for your hitting advice anymore. Like, he was pretty blunt about it. He was like, the game has changed. Things are different. You're my dad. I love you. And I love your support. But he's not picking up the phone and asking for hitting advice. I'm sure they have a lot of other conversations right along the way, but I thought it was pretty fascinating when EK kind of shared that a little bit. So it can be a different dynamic. It could be a great dynamic. It could be where they're talking hitting every day, right? That was the story with Chipper Jones and his dad, and him being his hitting coach throughout his entire career. So I don't know where those guys are at, but desperate times, call for some desperate measures. So maybe it's time to pick up the phone.
Eric Karros, for those wondering, one of the coolest Dodgers, and in person, just a cool cat.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's had a good life.
Yes. Vladdy Sr., he maybe not the best hitting coach because he was one of notoriously the worst ball pitcher. He was a bad ball hitter, sorry.
Yeah, exactly right.
Like a lot of those one arm, like that thing's going to hit the ground. Oh, no, he got a single out of it.
Yeah, it would be a fun conversation because you're right. They're very different hitters where Junior is a lot more calculated. He's going to draw his walks. He's not going to chase nearly as much. He's not going to strike out very often, where I can imagine you call your dad and he's like, yeah, just swing. Start swinging. Keep swinging. When you see the baseball come out of the pitcher's hand, start swinging. Right?
And wear no batting gloves because he was a no batting gloves guy, right?
I know. He was tough, yeah. And, that was a skill set, and they may be a little bit different, even though Jr., of course, is a great big leaguer. It was great bat to ball skills. And regardless, and we have a tendency sometimes to talk about chase a lot because we can see the strike zone. We can see when a guy swings at a pitch outside of the zone. Well, the strike zone is there based on your body type and your size. It's not necessarily based on your skill set, not at all. And so in the case of Vladimir Guerrero Sr., that strike zone was only where they were going to call strikes. It wasn't the only area in which you could hit the baseball and do damage, where I think for Junior it is a little bit different. They're different types of guys. So not to say again that they can't talk hitting, but you are talking about pretty distinct different hitters here.
Speaking of no batting gloves, is the Moise Alou story true that he used to pee on his hands?
He may have. I mean, that was always, and I play with Moise Alou, but I don't remember asking that question specifically about it.
You didn't follow him into the restroom?
He was a great hitter. No, I did not follow him. And I've seen him in the shower plenty. Yeah, I don't know. It's, like guys who talk about pickle juice for, if you're not going to use batting gloves, right, of course, you're going to have really bad blisters. And how do you toughen up your skin? Urine probably works. Pickle juice is probably a little bit more sanitary.
Trade deadlines at the end of the month. My thoughts are no chance the Jays sell, for the simple fact that they're selling out their barn every home game. So they don't want to put a mediocre product in front of those fans who are paying a lot of money for those tickets.
Yep, I would agree with that. And they're still within striking distance. Now, if they were just to have an absolutely horrible month and they were 9 or 10 games out of the wild card and they're looking up at 6 or 7 teams that they would have to leapfrog over, then you were at least taking your phone calls on Kevin Gausman. All right, I think pitching in particular, because if you look at the last couple of trade deadlines, starting pitching, and especially last year, was extremely difficult to be able to acquire. And so that means the prices are high. And that means you're at least will listen. Now, because the Detroit Tigers are really struggling this year, expectations is that a guy like Skubal could be available and Casey Mize. So there could be a handful of teams with some big names that might have some starting pitching to offer. Sonny Gray with the Boston Red Sox is another one that is potentially out there. So it could, kind of crowd that market a little bit. But there are so many teams that need starting pitching. But for the Jays to do this at all, I'm with you. They got to be so far out of it because of where their fan base is. Because as soon as you do that, you send 2 signals. One, you send to your fan base that says, we're not going to try the next couple of months. We got rid of some of our better players because we don't think we could win. And then that message also goes to the clubhouse, right? And these guys are professionals, and you expect them, of course, to carry themselves that way and play hard every day. But when you lose a big piece at the deadline, it is deflating. I've been on both sides of it. When you add a piece into your clubhouse, it is uplifting. You get excited. It's nice to know your team and your front office has your back. Now, it was a great offseason for the Jays. I don't think anybody can complain about what's happened with the front office and supporting this roster and putting it in a good spot. They just haven't gotten the results they've wanted. But I don't think so. And it's somewhat not the same, but it's somewhat similar if you go back to Ohtani a few years ago when he was with the Angels. And poor Perry Bonazzi ends up getting fired, a couple of weeks ago. But they had deals done. They had great deals done to get Ohtani traded somewhere else because they weren't going to the postseason. And they refused to do it because he was a moneymaker for them, right? They wanted him in that uniform over the last couple of months because there were so many fans that were coming to Angel Stadium to watch him play. It's a little bit frustrating if you're a general manager, if you probably need to sell. But I just don't think the Jays front office is going to be in that spot.
You mentioned the Angels. Is this the year Mike Trout finally gets dealt?
I don't know. I mean, he always says the right things, and he's obviously getting older as well. And he's already dealt with some injuries this season. It's in his control. He has 100% control of it. I don't know. I mean, I don't doubt that he has direct conversations with Artie Moreno, the owner, right? When you're that level of player, especially now that they've made changes in the front office, he doesn't know John Mozeliak at all. So it's a new guy coming in. I think that makes it even less likely. It would require Mike Trout going to Artie Moreno and saying, yeah, I think I've had enough, man. Like, I'm getting older. We went to the postseason my first year and that was it. And we haven't been since. And it doesn't seem like we're going anytime soon. He can always ask, but it's the same thing. It's not, it's not the same level as Ohtani because Ohtani is one of the few actual revenue generating players all by himself, regardless of what team he is on. But it is the same kind of thing. Like, that fan base in Los Angeles for the Angels doesn't have much of an identity, but the one that they have is surrounded by Mike Trout. And so if he were to leave, even if he wanted to leave, I don't know if Artie Moreno necessarily would let it happen. They need something. I know it's been not a great show over there here in recent years, but I think that would just completely take the wind out of their sails in that organization. So I don't see where ownership would be motivated to do it.
Finally, any thoughts on Addison Barger's injury? I talked to Keegan about this. It's a stress reaction in his back. And I've got alarm bells going off because if you've watched Barger, he's doing everything at 110%.
Yeah.
That goes from throwing the ball in the outfield to diving for balls. And his swing is like Tiger Woods' swing in his prime, where it's like you're going to have issues. Is this concerning? A stress reaction in a player's back, an injury I haven't heard of before.
Yeah, it is. Whenever you hear about these stress reactions for guys, whatever part of their body, you know it's significant. And to your point, and aggressive as this guy is, you're not going to bring him back and say, "Hey, what's your pain tolerance? Can you play at 90%?" It's not going to work for him. And most guys it wouldn't work for. But especially when you're talking about the back situation, right? He's rehabbing one thing, and now it's another thing. For me, in the way that this season is going, I'd be really surprised if we see him again. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Now they climb back in, or they are going to the postseason. Is there a chance maybe late September into October? If you're playing really meaningful baseball games, maybe. But it does not seem likely. He's just too important. It feels like we're headed toward kind of chalking up a year where there were some losses. Vlady has an off year. It's the first year without Bo Bichette. Addison Barger couldn't stay healthy. Some things going on in the rotation with health as well. Not that they all have to work together, but that's just, you get certain feelings. This one feels like that. And I think in the case of Addison Barger, you're just not going to push. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And that's a pretty significant injury, and timelines can change for everybody. They're not consistent. So the fact that we don't even have a hard timeline right now tells me he's probably, and I don't like doing this too much, but probably done for the year.
That would be the fourth Blue Jay done for the season, joining Cody Ponce, Anthony Santander, and Barrios.
Yeah, the Santander stuff is crazy, man. Like, this is like, it was such a big deal, right? When they signed him, like, it was like for the rest of us around the league, like, we're applauding the Blue Jays for stepping up and getting aggressive. And he wasn't really much available last year, and they have a really nice run. He's not available this year. It's been crazy. And you felt terrible for Cody Ponce. Like, that was such a great story. And we look forward to seeing him pitch next year. But yeah, you're right. They keep adding up. You hate doing it. Fans are discouraged, understandably so. But I don't know. Like, you're a fan. We're all fans. We talk to fans. It just seems like there's a lot of anger sometimes that is directed in a place that probably isn't fair. We're all upset when our team isn't winning. But you sit there and start to go down the list you're talking about. It's hard to really get mad at anybody and say, man, this is just what happens in a baseball season sometimes.
I'll always have this. I was there for Santander's first ever home run as a Toronto Blue Jay. Hey, CJ, any tips? I'm going to Jay's fantasy camp next Thursday. I am adamant there will be a Blue Jay scout there.
Okay.
Anything I can do to impress as a 50-year-old man with limited speed and skill.
So are you going? This is in Dunedin?
No, this is like at the Dome when the Jays are on the road.
Come on. That's really smart, actually. That is really smart for them to do that, because most teams, it's in spring training and it's in the off season. All right, well, what have you been doing to prepare? That's probably my first question. Okay,
playing volleyball with the kids every night.
Okay, so here's the thing: don't overdo it. Last thing I want to see is you in a wheelchair because you broke your ankle or you pulled a hamstring. Like, don't let that competitive. Like, you feel like, oh, I hadn't done something in 15, 20 years, and you get back in that spot, like, oh yeah, this feels familiar, and then you go hard, and then you're on the IL.
Okay. So, yeah, the injury report would be, what's the injury? All of it. Yeah. He's got all of them.
Be careful.
Thanks,
and
buddy.
let's say if you're swinging the bat a little bit and you get some blisters, you know how to take care of it.
That's right. See ya.
See ya.